Adamantium Shadow Poo!
Hello, welcome to the Bronze Age Monsters Shadow Show. This is a show we make every other week for our lovely and loyal patrons. We have been going through the Bloodstone Saga that started in Marvel. I get it wrong every time. Let's just see if I can get it right this time. Marvel Presents. Yes! Nailed it at the end. Stuck that landing.
Yeah.
Started in Marvel Presents and ends with this issue of Rampaging Hulk, issue number 8. And Steve Gerber comes in and cleans house. So really excited to talk about this. Yeah, I don't know, Matt. Do you just want to jump in? Are there any other any business we have at the top of the show?
As we were saying just before we start recording, just wanted to note that if anybody cares, a guy that we love, David Kraft, took over editorial duties on this book as of this issue. There's a little note from him about it in the scan that I saw. And there's one more issue after this of Rampaging Hulk, which is number 9. And the backup is Shanna the She-Devil, which is also written by Steve Gerber. And then the book kind of gets a reboot, and the numbering stays intact, but it's called Hulk exclamation point. And they had color in it and had actually kind of interesting, if you want to look it up on Wikipedia, folks, it's interesting. There's a new coloring process for magazine paper that they did. And it's kind of more realistic and more kind of muted tones and a little more nuanced color. Yeah, and so that went on. That's where the Moon Knight backup that we love so much with Sienkiewicz, early Sienkiewicz art is in there. And there's a very controversial story that we might talk about next season in the Shadow Show that Jacob and I were just discussing that was considered homophobic and kind of tone deaf is saying it, putting it too lightly, I think. So we might revisit some infamous Bronze Age stories next season of the Shadow Show.
Bronze Age stinkers. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I have some 15-year bourbon here because there are some deaths to acknowledge. And I have paired my drink. I went to the store and tried to find something. I got Cosmic Crisp, which is a delicious new variety of apple that was developed in Washington State in the last few years. I absolutely love it. It tastes to me like sweet tarts. It's crunchy, crisp. It's tart, sour, and sweet at the same time. Incredibly juicy. If you haven't had a Cosmic Crisp apple, please check one out. But the cider they make from it, Two Towns, which is in Corvallis, Oregon, is delicious. And Cosmic Crisp was the closest I could get of all my varieties of beer and cider to something paired with the story we're checking out today. Couldn't find a blood gem, couldn't find a blood orange, couldn't find a caveman, couldn't find a monster hunter.
Yeah, so, no, I wish all those existed. I'm just drinking Jubile Ale, but yeah, at some point I may have to go and pour myself a little bit of scotch since we do have a lot of deaths. So yeah, let me know when I'll go and do that in a sec.
Endings.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I think folks who are listening to this or watching this have been following along probably the whole season, reading along, following along, watching along, listening along. I think we should just really save any kind of reminiscence for the final thoughts on the whole thing.
Let's do it. Okay, sounds good. All right, so Rampaging Hulk 8, we open up and beginning of the story, we have a pinup by Pat Broderick, who we love. And it says Bloodstone. And he gets to do our favorite move. He doesn't do that move in this issue, so I'm kind of glad we had this just to at least have a reminder of what he looks like when he does his pogo gunshot.
Has he done it since did he even do it in the Four Seasons Danger Room?
I don't think he did, no.
He hasn't done it for a while. It's only monster reserved for kaiju.
It's so ridiculous. It's become more ridiculous the more I think about it. I think I was just in shock the first couple times that he did it. Like, no, that's not real. But no, that happened a lot.
You have to admit, pragmatically speaking, if you are just immortal and strong, but not like super strong, like Spider-Man or something, it's a valid way to get some altitude.
It's a valid way. It just doesn't look very cool. He's a cool motherfucker, but it's so uncomfortable. I would think that most I'm surprised the kaiju weren't just like, ooh, God.
Yeah.
Because that's, cringe. I think, the
Death cringe.
Yeah. I can't. Any of the humans that see it, they're like, "Oh boy." But yeah, we got a nice little illustration of Samantha Eden, and I'm assuming it's Brad Carter, looking very menacing. It's a little different for him.
And like he has thoughts in his head.
Yeah, like he has thoughts. That's weird. I don't like that.
And Bloodstone Island. Cross
Yep,
myself
got
for that. I
yeah,
got a
yeah.
drink
Oh,
from Bloodstone
yeah.
Island.
Fuck yeah, I'm drinking from Bloodstone
Still
Island.
burning today.
It is. It's like the tire fire on The Simpsons. Mm. All right. So here we go. Let's jump into this opening page. Title of our story is Earth Shall Have a New Master. We have a different creative team. We have a script by Steve Gerber, art Alan Kupperberg, Rod Santiago, and Rudy Messina. So let's just talk about the artists first before we jump into talking a little bit about Gerber. Alan Kupperberg, we've already seen on Rampaging Hulk. The last issue we had him in, the inks were by Sonny Trinidad. Rod Santiago is a Filipino artist who has very few credits in American comics. Like, I don't know, like 7 or something like that. He has like do you remember those Marvel classic comics? Like that would adapt, like he did the adaptation of Haggard's She.
Oh, nice.
And he did The Pit and the Pendulum. He did, let's see. He
A lot
did
of Filipinos
3.
worked on those books.
Yeah, I know they did. That was like the non-horror kind of work that they were given, which I know is a little condescending. But Santiago also did 3 issues of The Human Fly, not the Spider-Man villain,
The real person.
the superhero Human Fly from 1977. Didn't last a whole long time, which is probably for the best.
You
And
ever look that dude up?
a little bit, yeah. I mean, I looked him up a little bit here. Not really sure still what his deal is. Have you read it?
There's like, I remember I kind of did a little bit of a dive a few years ago, and like there's some weird I think he had ties to the mob or something. I believe there's some YouTube like mini docs that comics fans have made that's worth checking out.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Rudy Messina does the inks. Same thing with Rudy Messina. He's a Filipino artist who worked at Marvel for about 2 years. He inked a couple issues of Tarzan, 2 issues of Marvel Classics, and this issue of Rampaging Hulk. So, yeah, and then we have Steve Gerber. So Steve Gerber is coming in on this title, and he's just cleaning house. So I'm just assuming, I don't know. I would love to know like who made the decision for Warner to just bow out and Gerber to come in and just, I don't know. Well, you were going to talk about it and it makes sense. I mean, do you think this had something to do with the editorial shift?
I don't know. I wonder if the changes in general were just a top-down edict, like get a new editor in there, get a new whatever, change the direction of the book. Like, I have no idea. I would love to know if there was bad blood, if Warner walked. He's like, I don't want to write the last chapter. Like, this is, I'd love to know.
But there's drama behind this. Like, you don't have a new writer come in at the end of the series and just detonate the entire title with things going totally correctly and on schedule. So that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
No, this needs like a Real Housewives of Marvel, like type of like reality show. I need all the tea. It's been bugging me all week. Like I know. I have to know. Like, is John Warner still alive? I need to know the story behind the trade handing off of this to him, to Gerber.
I mean, because as we'll see as we go through the issue, like Warner couldn't have been happy. So
it wasn't a gentle death.
It's not.
This wasn't Chief putting a pillow over McMurphy's face and just ushering the end in and sending him on to the next chapter. Gerber, like we said, I was saying before we start recording, I feel like Gerber just kind of took the nozzle off of the gas pump and hosed the filling station down and lit a match and walked. He seemed to have a good time doing it.
He seemed to have a really good time doing it. So this month on the stand, Steve Gerber has two other comics, Howard the Duck 23, and over at DC, he has Mr. Miracle 23.
Hmm.
Didn't do a ton of stuff at DC in the 70s, really just a handful of things. An issue of Metal Men, some Mr. Miracle, a couple other things, I think a House of Mystery. And yeah, but for the main part, I mean, he's just a Marvel guy for the most part. In the 80s, he wrote I like a handful of issues of The Flash. He ended up kind of like working a lot more at DC in the late 90s, 2000s. A couple, it looks like original creation books. There's one that I'm very interested in. It's called A Bizarro. That's Al for Al Bizarro,
Oh,
who seems to be, yeah, Bizarro character.
weird.
Yeah, it looks pretty funny. That was the only one where I'm just like, I'd read an issue of that. But also, I feel like in this year, Gerber is getting ready well, first, he's going to be fired off the Howard the Duck strip anytime. What is this? Is this April?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure this is April. I think by the summer, he's fired off of Howard the Duck. Not too long after that, he does his lawsuit. So his days at Marvel are pretty numbered. His credits after he kind of stops. There's a few that he does under his pseudonym, and it's like, I swear to God, it's like Magilla Gorilla and stuff. So
Oh my God.
yeah, I know. But we love Gerber, and Gerber is beyond entertaining on this issue. So I'll take it.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So on this opening page, I'm just going to read the opening narration. It says Kabbalah, master of the ages, waits patiently as Ulysses Bloodstone extricates himself from the pool of shimmering black liquid. Sharzan, the elemental, has delivered Bloodstone here for some purpose as yet unknown, but not to remain so for long. And so yeah, he's covered in this liquid. And Kabbalah says, it's an ointment of sorts, huntsman, to facilitate the removal of the gem from your breastbone. The time at last has arrived. Your servitude is ended. And yeah, Bloodstone at the bottom is just like, servitude, mind clouded, can't think.
I'm drinking for the scorched engine oil that he's climbing out of the Black Lodge from.
So that's a Twin Peaks right there. It's the opening to a gateway.
Yes.
Yeah.
God damn. Yeah, we'll be talking through this thing, but just where Gerber took this and unpacked it, retconned things, just said everything you thought you knew is wrong. I mean, obviously it's not on the scale of Moore's revelation about Swamp Thing that Alec Holland has been dead since the creation of Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
But it felt kind of like on that same kind of scale of like
it does. It totally did.
Fuck I want. I'm God in this medium.
Yeah, pretty much. It's completely it's completely insane. But it's funny. It's almost like I think that it's almost like Bloodstone himself, is getting, he's being told like, hey, everything you thought you knew, you don't know anything.
Yeah.
Like everything you are is a lie.
Yeah. And we are seeing the story through his experience. So we were all lied to the entire run of this story too.
Yeah.
Which again, we were talking about before we started recording, like normally this stuff bugs me and I feel cheated on when people do this usually. I loved every goddamn minute of this thing, how fucking crazy it was. Probably because we didn't think that the main story worked or wasn't reaching its potential as a story. So I'm more inclined to accept torching it.
Oh, I'm definitely in for torching it. Like, yeah, I loved this. Absolutely loved it.
So yeah, I loved, we mentioned this last episode, I love seeing Kabbalah, this rando dude, come back from the Golem story. I believe he was made by Friedrich. For the last two Golem issues in Strange Tales. We were talking about last time. I did throw up, I think, a title on screen clarifying when we said, I don't remember what Kabbalah's motivation was. It was indeed just to get the golem and become master of the world. So that is his motivation. So he's always consistent.
Yeah.
Beautiful splash page, though, man.
Yeah, it really is. It looks great.
I had a hard time trying to figure out how we are going to talk about this because I almost was inclined to do this like a Power Records, but I'm going to try and back off of just reading everything because it's so consequential and it's so much a betrayal of what we've had all season that it feels hard to just elide over it, just kind of summarize. But I'm not gonna do that.
No, we'll keep it. We'll keep it. We'll keep it short.
Okay, so I'm gonna a little bit here when we're setting up this flashback though, because it is really Kabbalah saying you've been lied to, and you is us as well. So I'm gonna read a little bit of this in the beginning here, then we'll kind of
Okay.
skip over the flashback. So he says, that basically he's like mind clouded, can't think. And Cabal, we have a beautiful panel of him saying, "That's hardly a novel condition for you, is it? Your mind hasn't been your own for some 10,000 years." And again, Bloodstone's all just phased, like he's already like shutting down, essentially. Like, what did you say? He's like, "I implied, Mr. Bloodstone, that you are today the same brutish, unreasoning savage you were born. Your intellectual development was arrested some 100 centuries ago. I don't understand." So I felt bad for Bloodstone at this point already. I was like, oh, this poor fucker. Like, even before I know what happens, like, this guy's done. I know he's toast because it's the end of his story, but he's already, like, down a couple pegs at the start of this.
Yeah.
So the rest of this page is just a flashback back to Marvel Presents #2. So we won't say much about that. It's just him telling him in the second person, you did this, you saw this cloaked figure, you went to this cave, you went down to this altar, you saw the blood gem. So we know all the stuff, but at least we get to see this beautiful retelling of it from a different perspective by different artists, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, so like you say, a lot of this is what we've already gone through, but I think when we get to the next page, this is when it started to get interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because it says, Kabbalah says, "The face of your quarry, the countenance of Aluxel, keeper of the jewel's temple." And we kind of have, which we saw before, and it's Aluxel being like, "Greetings, human, I welcome you to my court." and Kabbalah says, "Naturally, your first instinct was to slay the preternatural creature despite his warm welcome." So I can imagine now it's from this. It's Aluxel like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" And then, yeah.
And I love this kind of, it feels like it's a retelling, like, like that X-Files episode where it's like Bad Blood, where it's everyone's version of like the vampire events in Texas.
Yep.
And it's, like Luke Wilson is this handsome, sexy guy when Scully tells it, and then when Mulder tells it, he's got buck teeth, and he's all, hey.
Yep. That's so good.
Yeah, it's not Rashomon. It's not quite that level.
No, but yeah, it's definitely what it's going for. So, yeah, but then it was just like, okay, so it says the gem's own unfathomable intent deterred you. Instead, you were forced to gaze upon sights which few men even today have witnessed. So it's saying again, the gem stretches consciousness to the ends of the universe, and the weird workings of all sorcerers must pass through its facets to affect their unnatural ends. Dweller on the threshold. So doing good for that.
Okay.
But then it ends, "The gem lied, Mr. Bloodstone. You may know that now. Nevertheless, you return to your village feeling you've been touched by the gods." So yeah, we're getting a completely different viewpoint of the origin here.
Yes, and I reread Warner's letter at the that was included in Marvel Presents #2, and this was not his intent. So this is Gerber. This is the first transgression here. The stone being the gateway for all magic energies was his intent. He even said that when it shattered and broke up, different properties were imbued in each one. So Bloodstone's chest one was just the immortality wavelength of magic. So like he was very specific. He had a whole little kind of thing going on, and Gerber saying that was all bullshit.
That's all bullshit. Which it's great.
Yeah. So the flashback continues on the next page. We see him tackle that woolly mammoth because he's been charged by the blood gem's qualities. And he's telling his people, come with me. You can have this power as well. They all follow him. You guys all remember this from episode 2 of the Shadow Show this season. But unfortunately, they do not attune to the same wavelength or whatever this thing is. They all get fried by it. And Ulysses is the only one that can handle it. And so he says, "You kill me, you kill my people, trick me, I will stop." And he dives towards the Bloodstone, and that's when Kabbalah says, "How naive you were, and are, for that matter." So again, this whole kind of like all you know is false continues.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, it's awesome. So yeah, next page continued. The jewel exploded. Your mind went blank at that instant. All your intellectual faculties blotted out, first by blind fury, then by pain. The gem is lodged into his chest. And I do have to read this. So Kabbalah says, from that moment on, you and the gem existed in a weird symbiosis. The jewel halted your body's aging process, made you nearly invulnerable to harm, and you provided the jewel with mobility.
Love that.
So that's when you first are just like, oh, okay. It's just like, oh, you never asked yourself what the jewel wanted with a mere human. And, Bloodstone's just like, oh, Aluxel. So Kabbalah's like, not Aluxel. Haven't you been listening to me? The gem itself chose you. The gem itself expanded your consciousness and destroyed your people. It says the gem is no mere conduit for mystic energies. The gem, Ulysses Bloodstone, is an intelligence. So here we go.
Yeah. So, folks, if you forgot, the way the story was set up by Warner was that Aluxel was like a protector of the gem and a guardian of this gateway to other dimensions and whatever. And by trying to harness the tribe, their energies to make the gem stronger and more powerful, he killed them all. And this is a revenge story, as Warner pitched it. And so that when the gem fragmented, it went off and it got embedded into things that became monsters. And so he hunts them down, has to collect the gems to stop Aluxel and his ilk from doing something. It was kind of a vague, big space opera.
Yeah.
And now we know that is all false. The gem has sentience, and the gem chose him because he was a fitting, I don't want to say host, because this is not parasitic. Like he said, it's symbiotic.
It's not.
They both gained something. The gem had legs now, and its host, it's only the right word for it, though. His host had immortality. And so this is starting to break Bloodstone's brain. So he says, no, you lie. I've lived with the horror of the gem, Aluxel, the conspiracy, for centuries. I know what I've seen, what I've battled. And he starts charging. And Kabbalah just blasts him with an energy blast. You know nothing. And he falls into Sharzan's giant hands. From the start, the gem has inhabited your reasoning prowess. You've been permitted access to technological and practical information, even certain mystical knowledge. So again, the scales are falling from our eyes. The gem just let him know what it wanted him to know over the centuries. But it says, but the gem has denied you all but the most primitive ability to cope in the abstract. And frankly, the gem selected you as its setting because it knew you would never miss that ability. He's like, but this doesn't make sense. Why? And he says, answer me, why? So the blood gem wished to observe the evolution of our race through disinterested eyes. To do so, it required a host whose entire existence revolved about a single purpose. I just love this little kid, like when you put your hand on somebody's head and like they're trying to swing at you. I feel like that's just him, just like going, no, this can't be true.
Yeah, no, it's I just like how insulting it continues to get. It's just like, no. Yeah, the Bloodstone chose you, but it also chose you because you're a dumbass.
Yeah, you're stupid.
You're stupid and your life had no meaning. And that's what the blood gem really wanted, to experience life through the eyes of some loser dumbass like you, is basically what they're saying to him.
He's a meat car.
Yes.
For the gem.
Oh, I do love the line. It's just like the gem selected you as its setting.
Yeah, such good language.
That's a great line. Fucking Gerber, man. So good. And so, next page. Kabbalah goes on, survival wouldn't do since it colors one's perception too vividly. And revenge, saying like the concern, but revenge substituted. Revenge against beings unknown and the higher purpose of saving the world through their destruction. So so that means like they wanted his singular focus to be revenge.
Yeah.
And that's why all of this worked well for the blood gem.
Yep. His only desire could be for revenge, and his gift was immortality. And so that allowed the gem to sit back and watch the evolution of the human species But he could only have those interests and be stupid, right?
Yeah.
If he got interested in art and started painting, he'd be stuck in Italy during the Renaissance. He'd be like, no, I need to go see shit happening.
Let's focus on the Borgias. Where are they at? Yeah.
Totally.
So Kabbalah just goes on. You spent 10,000 years chasing shadows. It's so bad. Goes on, the gem murdered your people when you realized that only yourself would be of use to it. And so there's this great panel at the bottom. It takes up most of the page of Bloodstone. And he doesn't look as much sad as he does like drained. And he also looks kind of stupid and without thought in a way, to where he's trying to like kind of struggle to understand what he's all being told, but he's almost just like in some kind of weird state.
It's
the
like
way
he
that
the evolution gate or something.
It did, because he's like, yes, and he's going on saying, the long hunt is over, Ulysses, and the quarry you should have been stalking, life itself, has eluded you. Then Kabbalah ends with saying, now step inside and meet the conspiracy.
That panel is so beautiful. Like the Kirby-ness of it, but a little bit of Steranko in there. And I love like the shading of the chin with like, you could have just done that black, but they did these wide brush strokes to give it a little bit of texture. Such a cool choice. So many cool choices in here. And I love Kabbalah over his shoulder like Iago or like Judas or something like that. Just,
yeah.
So, cut. We go to the 42nd Street main branch of New York's public library. And Sam is researching. She says, like, Yasad, cancer. It's nonsense. That conspiracy program tape was a red herring. Again,
she's right.
She is Gerber's mouthpiece in this. I'm convinced
she is.
Just Gerber read the past issues, was like, all right. And then she's like saying what he thinks.
Yeah.
So she's confronted by Domino. She's like, what the fuck? Every time, do you ever just not creep up on people from behind and be a creepy creep? And he says, once, I believe, back in 58 in Des Moines. Anyway, he's like, it doesn't matter. I have a message for you concerning your friend Bloodstone. He's dead. I just have to say before we go on in this scene, her reaction to this whole thing was kind of upsetting. I mean, this is upsetting. Where I thought Gerber was especially burning down the house. Like the revelations and the way some of the supporting cast treat or are treated with the Bloodstone's fate are interesting. So she says, oh, well, then I suppose there's no reason to pursue this research assignment, is there? As she slams shut a book. You're like, no, I suppose not. Is that your only reaction to my message, Miss Eden? And she just grabs her bag and starts walking out of the library. I'm a journalist, Mr. Domino, and Ulysses Bloodstone was a story while he lasted. I don't suppose you'd care to divulge the details of his untimely passing? He's like, I'm sorry, my bosses wouldn't approve of that. She's like, that's fine. I'm a reporter. I got sources. I'll figure it out. He's like, I'm sure you do.
just when she finds out, no reason to do this. Story. Yeah, time for the next story. Like she's Kolchak or something.
Yeah, I was just gonna say she's gonna have lunch with Carl Kolchak and get another lead.
Yeah.
God damn.
Oh, it's brutal. Yeah, and I like that. I feel like Gerber also like looked at the whole Domino character and he's just like, that's stupid.
Yeah,
like what you're doing is stupid, and it was colossally dumb.
I hated it.
So again, I think a lot of the commentary that Gerber makes throughout this whole thing is exactly what you and I have been saying this whole time.
Yeah, it's
so I felt very seen.
Yes, I did too, and heard.
Yeah, so yeah, it just keeps going, and they're outside of the library, and she's talking to Domino, be like, what is your role in this little melodrama? And he's like, I was just a diversion. My assignment was to distract you from Bloodstone and vice versa. That's it. She's like, well, what end? He's like, well, my employees were concerned that you might reawaken certain dormant qualities in Bloodstone's personality, which might have saved his life. So, I mean, I guess it's what? Like, if he got a boner, he wouldn't be stupid anymore.
It's a honeypot thing, isn't it?
It is a honeypot thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, deactivate that honeypot kind of thing. So,
yeah, if you get a boner, then you stop being focused on tribe revenge.
Yep.
And then you might
That's
actually
it.
live, and then the gym doesn't get what it wants, which is
Yeah.
viewing evolution.
I mean, that is what happens. I've read the pamphlet.
As a married man with a child,
Yeah.
I can confirm this.
Oh
What? Yeah, I
man.
was in a band. That's true. Yes, I used to
Oh
do things.
yeah. Oh, so yeah, he walks off. He's like, privileged information again. Use your imagination, Miss Eden. I like that she says, I am, and your employers couldn't have been more wrong. Adios, pal. And her final thoughts are she's thinking as she's walking away, no question Ulysses was interested in me, and that I didn't discourage him for the sake of the story. But if a bigger bore ever walked the earth, I've never met him. Poor Ulysses, fun to watch, agonizing to know. Rest in peace.
Wow, dude,
Jeez.
that was a gut punch panel for me, honestly.
It is. You're just like, oh man, that's brutal.
And I think that's Gerber, like we were saying before we started recording here. I think that was Gerber saying, "I read the back issues. Not a lot here."
Not a
And
fan.
I think he's probably responding to what we've been having issue with all season, which is, well, I'm sorry, Iron Man. I'm
What?
sorry. What? Why are you? Why is this happening? Why are you not
Yeah,
meditating and floating in interdimensional space all the time?
all the time. He's using that third eye power and just
Yeah,
duking it out with the exo mind.
and he's
You
not
know,
wrong.
he's not. No, he's not wrong at all. All right, but we get our second little interlude starting. It says, "And somewhere under the South Seas," and it's Brad who's getting some bleep bleep bleeps about Bloodstone Island. That's it, Bloodstone Island, dead ahead. He surfaces. He's like, now if I flip the right switch, the sub skimmer should surface. I was just like, man, I do miss the sub skimmer. Still want that play set. But he says, I love his internal monologue. Hooray for me, Brad Carter, star of stage screen supermarket openings, and now, no.
I love that he has an Oscar, but he's now just making rubber suit monster movies.
Well, he's Cuba Gooding Jr. Like that's just all he is now. He's just made Snow Dogs, I
Oh
think.
my god.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Okay, so yeah, next page here. We see what Brad sees from the sub skimmer. It's just the foundations of the towers of Bloodstone Island burning. And he says, "Oh my God, it's been sabotaged. You know, there's nothing left. The fuel reserves are just keeping this burning and burning, like the tire fire in Springfield.
Yeah.
I don't believe this." Beautiful third panel here. All this art on this page, by the way, gorgeous.
Yeah.
That second panel of him like climbing out of the sub skimmers, he looks like a Pulp Hero. The third panel again, just Doc Savagey Pulp Hero stuff. He's like, he realizes I love this predicament Gerber gives him too. He's like, I'm stranded here. I had to refuel to get back to New York, and now there's no fuel supplies. I'm fucked. And then he realizes, oh wait, there's a radio. It's probably still working. So he runs back to go to the radio, and then halt, Brad Carter. It's useless to employ your radio. And we see one of the weird Insecticon things that were Centurius's creations, meddling with DNA, holding a laser beam on him. Firstly, Ulysses Bloodstone has already perished. Secondly, there will be no need of a rescue party, as you are about to join him in death. The final panel of the page is the insectoid thing walking off, and we see a human-shaped pile of ash smoldering on the beach next to the sub-skimmer, and he says, "You died as you lived, thespian, tritely. Let that be your epitaph."
God damn. So
Gerber.
funny. But also, I mean, I don't know. Like we had our attachments to Samantha Eden and to Brad Carter. I mean, Brad's been there since the beginning.
Yep.
But yeah, this is what a brutal end. Oh, goddamn.
That's
Drink
a
for you.
liquor drink.
Yeah, Brad Carter, we'll miss you.
R.I.P. brother. Rest in power.
God damn. Yeah, you're right though.
Supermarket opening in the sky.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Totally. Oh, you're right. The art on this page is so good and beautiful, especially that third panel that you called out. Yeah, that is classic Doc Savage, Pulp Hero. Yeah, this all, and I'm glad. I mean, if this is going to be Brad Carter's, death page, the art is really good, and he goes out I mean, I don't know if his end is necessarily noble. A bug man jumps out from a bush and ray guns him. So I don't know if that's, you know, necessarily a noble death, but still the art is great.
Yeah, it felt like get your beverage. I mean, it definitely felt like that kind of like Twin Peaks season finale thing where it's like Audrey's in the bank and the bank blows up, and then
Yeah.
it was just kind of like fuck everything. You didn't
Yeah.
fucking renew for a third season. Fuck you.
Oh, someone's yelling about their drape runners. There's all sorts of stuff going on. Yeah. Hmm. So yeah, okay, but then we cut back and it's amazing. It's an amazing cut back.
Oh,
This next page, narration, all this talk of our protagonist's death is of course somewhat premature, for back in Kabbalah's cavern, and Kabbalah says, "Behold, the conspiracy." And he has a curtain. They're behind a curtain.
yeah.
So
You know
he
it's
pulls
velvet.
it. It is, it's velvet. And he pulls it and he says he introduces the conspiracy. Says Centurius, of course, you've encountered before when you and Shield attacked his base of operations. I don't believe you've met Atlan, though. He's a dolphin, a representative of Earth's other intelligent species, and quite a mystic in his own right. There's a happy dolphin in a tank.
A mystical
Next,
dolphin.
yeah, mystical dolphin. And he says, Kabbalah goes on, says, and Bubbles O'Day. So how would you say that?
Ecdesiast?
Ecdesiast. But she is not mere decoration, Ulysses. She acquired a fragment of the blood gem from a suitor, and well, now she can floor an audience with her mind. And finally, the man whose blade will kill you, Dr. Juden Bardham, the famed cardiologist, enlisted for his expertise. Quite an assortment, wouldn't you say? Okay, so this is
Wow.
maybe one of my favorite pages of the season. Gerber introduces this crazy cast of characters. It looks like a sexy mermaid, Centurius, the famed cardiologist. I didn't think we were going to meet one of them, but he's upstairs in the operating theater, ready to extract the bloodstone from Ulysses. And then we get a mystical dolphin. So Matt, you and I, independent of each other, we all looked these characters up, being like, what great careers in the Marvel universe would they have? None. They never appear again.
One did. Centurius appeared.
Well, Centurius,
in New
yes.
Avengers #1 in the breakout, or that big story was when all the people broke out of the super prison.
Yes, but the three characters introduced here.
Oh, sorry, introduced. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, the three introduced here don't show up again. Later on, they show up. In a sense, in their in the Captain America Bloodstone thing.
Like, proving that again, I don't. Obviously, I don't get comics writing because anybody can be undeaded. So who has not? Who would read this? I mean, Bubbles O'Day seems like it should be in Howard the Duck. Like, that's just Gerber just saying, I don't even give a shit.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. He doesn't give a shit.
It's so silly that he's just like, this is absurd. So let's just go to the extreme of absurd. Her name's Bubbles O'Day.
Her name's
probably
Bubbles
slept
O'Day.
with Namor once. I don't know. Doesn't matter. None of this
Doesn't
matters.
matter. Yeah. So
I love Juden Bardham. Like,
yeah,
he gets into the conspiracy just because they need a cardiologist. So
yeah. No, he's in. Full member, full rights.
God damn.
Yeah, it's completely bonkers, and and I love it.
That angle of that huge panel, I mean, it's like Crazy House. It's like 78-degree angle too. Like, the artists are just kind of like leaning into Gerber's weirdness and just like, fuck it, we're upside down now.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they could have had just like a normal type of like, here's a bunch of new characters.
Yeah.
Like, we probably want to have the shot be, at a normal angle, but nope, not for these guys.
Yeah, I think as the reader, we're supposed to feel as off kilter as Ulysses does. Cool choice by the artists.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's explaining why Jules Bardham is part of the conspiracy. He says, we intend to serve the gem willingly, Ulysses. In exchange, we pray for lives as long as yours. So that is the motivation of the conspiracy. They're jealous of his immortality and they want it, which is, I get it.
Sure.
You say the gym has observed all it can through innocent eyes. Now it wishes a new perspective. So, hey, dum dum, the gym's done with you. You've given it all you can as far as like an experience. So it wants some new hosts. He says, we shall provide it in return for the gym's favor. And he's making him lie down. He says, now lie back, Ulysses. You're ready to die now, aren't you? And he says, you have eliminated my will to do otherwise. So he just is like a zombie at this point.
Yeah.
Like, at some point he broke. I don't know what the conditioning was like in that oily pool. What's going on? Or maybe all the revelations and he's just like breaking down mentally.
It seems like, like the revelations just broke him. So now he's Dougie Jones. So I'm looking for that one.
Because because we're almost 50.
Yeah.
And if I were told my whole life was a lie, I would be devastated. And he's lived for 10,000 years. So
it's true.
He has a lot more going.
There's some stakes.
So they say, Cabal continues, you'll never learn, will you? The gem, Bloodstone, not I. The gem allowed you to sense the truth of my words. And then the doctor says, it's probably best if you and the others exit for the moment, Kabbalah. This won't be pretty. Cabal says, understood, doctor. We'll await you and the gem in the other chamber. So there's a bottom row. We get to see over Dr. Bardham's shoulders as he's starting to set in. We see Cabal walking off through the velvet curtains. We get a close-up of sweat running down Bardham's temples as he's performing the surgery. The scalpel's coming towards us as the viewer. And then in the final panel, he's holding the blood gem in his hand. And I describe all that to you to let you know that the hero of this book dies. Gerber has so little regard for him that he dies in the narration. Thus the surgeon sets to work, his scalpel describing a dark red circle about the gem in Ulysses' chest. The cut bleeds profusely. After more than an hour's carving, Bloodstone is deceased, and the gem liberated. Just like that.
Just like that. Oh boy, brutal. So brutal.
Done dirty.
Jesus.
And I love it.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I love it. The saddest panel is him like getting gassed and he just has his hand up and he's just like, what?
Wait.
I guess whatever. Bye. Goodbye.
See you when you get there.
It's so sad. Oh God. I mean, we've been so frustrated in this story that as brutal as all of these things seem, I felt something. This made you feel something. And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, well, let's blow it up. Fuck it. Let's blow it up.
Yeah, I mean, we felt joy in Rampaging Hulk 4 when we met Exomind and that whole thing happened. We were ecstatic with that. Outside of that, in the first couple issues, it's been more frustrating than not. So it's not that I'm taking like ghoulish relish and glee and delight in this. It's just that at least Gerber's doing something. Like
he is doing something.
So I mean, you know what I mean? It's like I don't want to say Alan Moore and throw that name around, but I think Gerber's on par. Like you know, not maybe as highbrow, but I think he does equally highbrow things. I think and he's doing some of that here, killing the hero in the narration panel, the text box. That's fucking throwing down the gauntlet right there.
It is. And I mean, I love that, you know, while Alan Moore can, you know, you can describe as like deconstructing a character and starting over. This is literally like atom bomb. Yeah. Like just destroy this character to its molecules and just figure out. Yeah. And not really give a shit what happens after. So I love it.
Yeah. It's like he has to destroy a building. So he's using his mind rays to chip off parts of the building and just leave this in concrete. And then he blows the whole thing up.
Yeah. Next page continues. The doctor comes out. Here it is, fellow conspirators. The fifth and final fragment of the blood gem. I like that Kabbalah says, and the man called Bloodstone is dead? And the doctor's like, I assume so. Like, he didn't even check. He was just like, well, the gem didn't resist me, so what? I don't really care. I was like, good. The time has come for the ritual of joining, then. and our entry into the circle of power. We depart to the altar of the blood gem.
Did you notice that first panel that I don't know if this is intentional or not, but it's almost like Centurious is breaking the fourth wall and is looking at us like, can you fucking believe this?
I didn't notice that. But he is. Just like, he is. Yeah. Oh my God. So great. But then we get back to Ulysses. Says, amidst swirls of gray smoke, Kabbalah and the others vanish, mystically transported to the place where Bloodstone's people perished 100 centuries ago. And then I like, so it leaves off right as that, and that panel is him jumping, being like, trick me, kill my, and so he wakes up, he's like, trick me, kill my people. And he looks around, and then Gerber says, but those 3,650,000 days no longer exist for this man who lived him. He says, trick, kill. So he's still just kind of saying the same sentence. Says some residual energy from the gem still remains in his form, animating his corpse, but his memory. Okay, so this is his corpse reanimated, right?
Yep.
Okay, yes. All right. That's
his essence. It seems that his essence is still in there, but he is dead, and he's animated by the residual energy from the gem. So
okay,
he's
which is
zombie Ulysses Bloodstone, but he has his essence.
Has his thought, and that essence is going down. He is powering down.
Yeah.
It is not a finite thing. So, yeah, he's talking about his memory, and then it returns, a deluge of recollections, too numerous and too swift to comprehend. We see him doing a bunch of stuff. He's a pirate, so that's cool.
Swashbuckling. That's awesome.
He's a swashbuckler. And yeah, it's just him fighting. I don't know. Is that a conquistador? Is that
there's like a Solomon Kane Puritan. There's like a conquistador, and then he's in Rome.
Yep.
Oh, the World War I pilot.
And he's a pilot too. He fought the Red Baron.
I forgot. And we talked about this very early on. Like, oh my God, there's so much potential. Like, how many adventures did he have over the centuries that would be so cool to tell? And like, again, they're just kind of just giving you little glimpses, but they're already fading away. God damn. I love that. I love that treatment with the fastness of the gem and the memories like that.
It's awesome.
Whenever they use the gem faces as graphic elements, I love it. Okay, so by sheer force of will, he stems the onslaught of recall, dispels the melange of imagery long enough to flee. So he just jumps off the operating table, dives out. He sees Sharzan unconscious, dead. I didn't understand why Sharzan is he like a tool that Kabbalah uses? Like when he's not actively using him like a puppet, he's just unconscious on the ground?
Probably.
Okay. It says new horrors wait at every turn, and there seems no avenue of escape, unless perhaps the pool. And he dives into that oily black pool, and then we cut to elsewhere, to the altar of the blood gem. The conspiracy is all there, and there's a giant blood gem, the fifth fragment, and Kabbalah says, "Here, O Hellfire Helix, we do gather together in thy name for the ritual of joining." From the corners, and you know he sounds like the fucking monarch, by the way. It's so hard not to read it. I think we did that even back in the Golem issues. From the corners of the earth we bring thy scattered parts, that you may be as one, and we may serve thee. And I forgot they had a tail, too, until I read this issue. We pray thee accept us, O gem of blood. Admit us to thy center of power. And the other conspiracy members say, power, power, power. Power indeed. In a blinding burst of light, the gem reassembles, and the conspirators are taken in. And it's just this huge explosion of light. So you know this is going to go well for the henchmen who have been directed to do something way beyond their ken.
It always does.
Always goes well.
Yeah. I was confused, but realized it wasn't a huge deal, and I was like, "Oh, Sharzan, he's just dead."
I mean, that's how. I don't know how else you take it. I mean, that's my headcanon is like he's an elemental.
He's an elemental,
and Kabbalah had elementals when we saw him before. He had those air elementals that attacked the ship. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think Gerber cares.
I know we shouldn't care either, I guess. So yeah, let's move on. So I did like it. So he comes up and says, meanwhile, the man who had been Bloodstone re-enters the world of humans. And I love it that It says his journey has been mostly upward, and Kabbalah's cavern is conveniently located a mile or so neath the bedrock of Manhattan.
God, that's so funny.
Oh, it's great. So he just walks out of there. Yeah, his hunter's eyes gaze with wonder on this gentle forest we know as Central Park. But yeah, because he's back to his, he's back to his hunter gatherer brain basically, and so he's still far from home. So he's still just like running around, being like, "Who kills my people? People trick, kill." It's so sad. He's just like
Dougie Jones.
He is Dougie Jones in this. it's like call for help.
Yeah. Jade give 2 rides.
Jade give 2 rides. And so yeah, he's just walking around and says, he hears something. He hears a scream. He's like, and now it's begun again, the coming of deceitful gods, the people marked for extinction, the lies, the treachery, the agony that lives forever and cannot die. He rounds the corner and says, the blood gem. And so basically it's like a gem monster with the faces and souls of the conspirators in it. And he says, you too may be as gods. Join me, share in my power.
Yeah, I love that they're kind of like each member of the conspiracy is trapped in their own facet of the gem body of the gem monster.
Yeah, I mean, isn't this like the bad guy from like the Amethyst comic, basically?
It's like Crystar or Amethyst, yeah.
I know.
So the first read through of this, I did not notice that dead center of the middle of this page, there's just Ulysses with a hole in his chest, and it's just like a hole. Like he has no sternum. Like it's just like he's like a clay hollow figurine with his chest cut out.
I know.
Really
it's
upsetting.
So weird. It's very upsetting.
And there's even like kind of like lines showing like either distress from the surgery or like like there is nothing glowing here now. Remember kids when stuff glowed here? Now nothing glows. Yeah, I have to admit I was a little underwhelmed by the blood gem monster.
Yeah, not great.
But yeah, I don't know. A little goofy, but we get a cool ending out of this. So let's press on. So it says the creature's aspect is staggering, the air of menace that exudes dizzying, and we see Bloodstone just like grabbing his head. He's just kind of leaning down, just trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. His brain throbs with anger suppressed for centuries. So that revenge impulse of his tribe being murdered has just been pushed down like resentment you feel for a friend or a spouse. And has been growing like a cancerous tumor inside of him. And now that he has his will back in some way, it's just exploding with this rage. And it says, so instinct takes over and draws on powers he still possesses but has forgotten. The third eye, the ability to see into another being. And this is the art we've been using for this thumbnail all season.
Mm-hmm.
The third eye seems to explode without his conscious will. And he seems shocked by the ability. And then this next panel, I love this kind of stylized thing where it's almost like shooting a beam out. Rapidly, instinctively, he adjusts to this new form of perception. So I think this is Gerber trying to say his body is dying and his ability to receive sensory input is dying. So like whatever the gem residual energy is like taking over. And it's just like sprouting an eye. And it's like, you can't see anymore with your eyes are going blind. I will see for you. And he's seeing in third eye vision. Is that how he took it, kind of?
Yeah, definitely.
So, so he's like renewed by something and ready to fight. It says, of course, the psychic probe does not escape the gem's notice because he's been beaming the gem monster. And it's like, it turns around because it feels it. You are persistent, human, even from beyond the grave. Very well. You too may gain access to me. Now, this is weird. Like, you just got rid of this guy that you've been riding around on for 10,000 years. And you're like, all right, get back on.
Yeah.
But kind of weird, right?
A little weird.
So the next panel, I love this where you can see like Bloodstone's falling apart. Like he's literally a walking corpse at this point. And the way they treat him and draw him almost reminded me of like when Merrick does his weird ugly face kind of thing. Like remember the Elementals? The Mummy, where they just go kind of grotesque and weird, and He looks like that. It says the hunter ignores the taunt and intensifies his mystic investigation deeper, deeper. Within, he feels himself slipping out of his body, abandoning the lifeless flesh which still encases his self. I love this separation, right? That he is literally a walking corpse, like Encanto is. And he's just being driven by the essence of who he was as the hunter, and the gem's power, and that is all that's just kind of animating this thing in this kind of crude puppet to do whatever he's doing. So he projects his essence into the blood gem to confront once again the conspiracy. So now we've gone inside the blood gem, where we're in that weird world we saw in Marvel Presents #2, where he's like inside the facets fighting the stock. Oh, I forgot that thing was called. That big blue guy.
Oh shit!
And he's the conspiracy people are trapped in their facets around him, moaning, they're ghostly and like they're tortured, like, help us, help us. And like Cabal saying, it used us more cruelly than you, robbed us of our bodies. As Centuria says, used us, our power, to cement the facets of the gem. Go back. So they're like already ghostly because they've been stripped of their bodies and thrown into this thing and just absorbed and just like discarded. Like,
yep.
As of course they would be. Where's the dolphin? Like
where is the dolphin?
Like, when they all do the ceremony, the dolphin's not there. When they're in there, the dolphin's not there.
I mean, I know he has to be in a tank and all, but I don't want to see the cardiologist. Why does he have to be there? Why can't the dolphin be where the cardiologist is?
Yeah.
I know. No, I know.
Yeah, is the dolphin evil?
Well, he's mystical.
Would you be part of the conspiracy?
Yeah.
I mean, fuck it. He should be in tuna fish cans if he's that evil. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. That fifth panel where we see him, his skin starts to just like shrivel, like he's getting gross looking because he's dead.
Yeah. He's a walking corpse.
Yeah. So this was exciting. So the next page, I love it. It says these weird, nearly amorphous beings trapped in the gem's facets seem to recognize him. Unfortunately, it's not mutual. His third eye, though, perceives their evil nature and the justice in their situation, and he presses on. So he presses on deeper and deeper into the gem, closer to its intelligence, until he finds his path barred by the exo-mind. So you knew Gerber. I mean, Gerber's probably reading these back issues, and he's like, oh, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
He's like, that's the only thing I like.
Yep.
Which is the only thing that we liked.
Yep.
And so, yeah, he's like, aptly named, his third eye discloses, for it is not the blood gem's true intellect, but an outer mind, which shields the stone's more delicate nucleus from intrusion, such as himself. So the exo-mind says, only from destruction comes change. The blood gem comes to change your world. Your efforts are futile and you cannot penetrate. And Ulysses is just like stabbing into the exo-mind, who's saying, and then he stabs enough of it through that he just jumps right through it.
And this is where we get to the final act of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I was also a fan of how he's decomposing while he's doing this final stuff. I love that first panel where he looks like Hans Moleman.
He does. Yeah.
And I love that note that like the gym doesn't even know who these dipshits are. It's just like they can tell that they have evil intent, but they're just, whoa, save us. And just runs by them. But yeah, I love that he latched onto Exomind. Like, this is the coolest concept in this whole thing, obviously.
Look at his face in that third panel. I mean, he's disintegrating.
Yeah. So cool. So I love that he tears a hole in Exomind. And it makes sense, right? That this interpretation, Exomind, it's the outer mind. So
it's the shell.
The way Gerber uses it, it makes perfect sense. And otherwise, before it just was gobbledygook. Yeah. So we go into the Exomind, and it is a vacuum, essentially. It's a black world that it's soundless. He can't even hear his own breathing there. He is essence now, pure psychic force. There would be no breathing, even if his body were alive. And he sees a light in the distance. He's marching towards it. Enough. Thoughts wandering in the silence. Focus on the light. Focus on revenge, on the gem's epicenter. The Hellfire Helix. Yes, folks, we've gone all the way back around to Warner's original kernel of an idea that seemed to just kind of go away once he had a chance to tell the story.
Yeah.
This is the power that sustained his life for 10,000 years. This is the power that massacred his tribe and would now destroy all humanity. And he just approaches it and crouches down and says, "Why?" No answer. But in truth, he expected none. This part of the gem never speaks. It merely exists, an exquisite presence in the multiverse, above purpose, beyond reason. And he's raising his spear, but not exempt from karma as he stabs down. Its death cry can be heard throughout the psychic universe. So you know Charles Xavier's like got a nosebleed and he's just like twitching on the floor of the mansion.
Yeah. Topaz, Topaz is feeling something right
Poor
now.
girl.
So, yeah.
I love this page. I love this to me is definitely like 2001 type of like just like we are beyond any understanding, any world, any whatever that humans can understand. Like this is something other than.
I also took it as, like you were saying, like this is going all the way back to the beginning, to the kernel of the idea that Warner did to try. Well, that he was going to have this grand plan that somehow got waylaid by himself. But I also like that Gerber's just like, oh, remember that cool little thing that started all this? I'm gonna fucking kill it. I'm gonna have your hero kill it. So, I mean, I really feel like Gerber is getting his licks in whenever he can. So I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy.
I would love to know if this made John Warner mad. I can't say that.
I know. I just I don't know. It has to have. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Well, last page. It says, and in the so-called real world, the effects of its demise are felt immediately. Fissures race up and down the body of the gem creature. Its thralls snap back to consciousness. Then a moment later, the once formidable monster is just so much broken glass, at one with the beer and pop bottles which ordinarily adorn the city streets.
Can I ask you? So it's thralls. We see the people of New York like turning and freaking out and running.
Yeah.
I feel like that was like something that just maybe the constraints of the page count could have been explained a little better. I feel like it could have been one page or even half a page, like just explaining that everyone in the proximity is like zombified and like drawn towards it or something. Like,
yeah.
Because he says like I'm gonna conquer your world or whatever. Like just a little bit more, just to kind of raise the stakes and clarify them would have made this a little bit better. My own criticism.
And then we get a panel that, Matt, you were doing some looking up. I definitely, this is one of those that if you read Marvel Comics, this next panel, you're just like, oh yeah, it's just a bunch of Marvel creators. And so who did you think the guy with the headband was like, I don't understand. A moment ago, I was contemplating a pizza burger, and now my head is filled with metaphysics. Favorite line of the whole issue?
I don't know. It's definitely not Kupperberg. He looked like a nerdlinger when he was young.
Yeah.
I was wondering if that was Kraft, but Kraft had a full beard in the 70s.
Yeah, Kraft always had a full beard. So
I don't know. The dude on the right is definitely the second the inker.
It's not Rod Santiago, but it's
the other one,
Rudy Messina.
Yeah, like, it looks exactly like him. And the tall guy saying, "I know I didn't create this havoc. What happened?" Looks Warner. A lot like John Warner. When you Google John Warner Marvel Comics, like when they have the calendar in the old days, they put the calendar in there and it would say John Warner's birthday. That dude looks like that dude. And I love that Gerber is like saying like, "I didn't create all this," because you didn't.
Yeah. No, you didn't. God, it's so funny. So yeah, if it's Rudy Messina, maybe Rod Santiago is to the left. That's what I would imagine.
It'd be cool if like Rudy were in there. Like we were speculating before we start recording, like maybe this is like several of the artists that worked throughout the run in Rampaging Hulk or something. I don't know. Or Sonny. I don't know what Sonny looks like, but.
So yeah, we get one of those nice panels. We got creators. We got Rudy saying, "Oh my God, Next panel, three little words, but on a crowded New York avenue, they're kind of code for, and now here's our next tragedy. City dwellers have learned to laugh off most of the grim realities they encounter daily, but this one elicits yokes.
Yeah, it should be yucks, right?
It should be yucks. Yeah. This one elicits yucks from no one. Horror, revulsion, nausea, disgust, but not a titter is heard at Bloodstone's final fate. So we see, yeah, Bloodstone there at the bottom. He's got his outfit. He's got his boots and everything that you know. And yeah, he's just a desiccated skeleton. And I like that one guy says, maybe the monster destroyed him. You think? Then the final sentence of Bloodstone Saga is a guy going like, I don't know, but you can bet he didn't die of old age. Finn. Drinking to that.
Ulysses Bloodstone.
Yep.
How little we knew ye.
Wow. Yeah. I've been waiting to talk with you about this one. I think like you, I read this a bunch of times. First one in disbelief. Second time through, I'm just like, yes, I'm just cheering Gerber at every knife that he's sticking into Warner's back. But yeah, I don't know. Do you want to start? What are your final thoughts on this and on the Bloodstone Saga in general?
Man, I don't know where to start. I mean, on the whole thing, we've been pretty clear this season that this was a really cool concept that the creator promised was going to pay off in spades if he had the chance to tell it. He got the chance to tell it and missed the mark more often than he hit it for me and you, I think. So we were frustrated throughout this whole thing. Rapidly changing tones and storytelling, shifting focus, red herrings, and all these things that seem to be just there to further the story rather than add to it or build on it. So I found it ultimately a really frustrating waste of a cool concept. I love the first couple issues where we're meeting the character, getting the backstory. I loved Luxel. I loved Rampaging Hulk 4, where we're getting the exomind and the interdimensional stakes, all the cosmic craziness. I love Samantha Eden when we first met her. I feel like even Warner didn't write her super consistently. So the betrayal at the end by Gerber, I don't care about because I think it was just like anything goes at this point. Brad was fun. I love having that kind of goofy, weird supporting character. But I mean, ultimately, yeah, it was a bit of a letdown, considering his stature and that there's the Bloodstone Hunt in the Captain America title that Grunwald writes later, which we might just do another quickie like 15-minute review type of maybe sometime. I don't know. I'd love to close the chapter on this, but not necessary. But yeah, ultimately, I think it's gorgeous to look at. Frustrating only because it had so much potential. If it started off even a little more dumbed down and simple and it started off as just a Kazar or whatever, like I'm just a guy and I get some superpowers and I punch things. I can appreciate it if it was beautiful. This whole kind of concept of like this cosmic Craftian, Gerberian, like these things that we've latched onto throughout Son of Satan and Manwolf and like that stuff where it's like these big cosmic big ideas and we get all excited about them and then like this kind of like and then he meets Iron Man and then I don't know goes to the UN and then you just end then until you get canceled. So I felt that this end, I guess I love that Gerber broke a bunch of rules in wrapping up the story and kind of burned the house down, and I think it was deserved. So part of me unconsciously is just like it deserves it. You can't set up a cool joke like this, get this big build up, it's like then it becomes a Shaggy Dog story. They're fucking frustrating. And so this was fucking a Shaggy Dog story. There, I just talked my way through it. Frustrating, beautiful to look at, fucking annoying because it didn't go anywhere and it just spun its wheels for years, literally.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I agree with everything you said. It was just I think there were a few times, like when we were with the Marvel Presents stuff, we were just like, okay, this could go somewhere. Cool. I mean, I know this kaiju guy that seems kind of silly, but maybe, I mean, this is probably going to be cool.
Yeah.
And the first like two issues of Rampaging Hulk, you're like, okay, maybe this is setting some good groundwork. Iron Man.
Yeah.
Iron Man is the harbinger of doom for this podcast. Anytime he shows up, bad things happen to the quality of the comics that we're reading.
Yep. I think I made a joke with Ted McGinley being the killer of sitcoms. Whenever you bring Ted McGinley on as your cast,
That's right.
you're going to be canceled. Same thing.
So, yeah, we expected this to be something that it wasn't, and it was frustrating. It was, this has been, I know we're not done with the main season at all, but this is the last bonus show.
Yes, it is.
So I feel like this season, the source material that we went into in good faith, being like, hey, this looks kind of cool. This looks fun. This looks like something that, we could dig. I think we're not led astray, but in our Bronze Age buffet, there's some stupid characters, but they were still fun. We still had a fun time with it. I've had a fun time this season because I love talking comics with you. This has been a little harder. It's been a little harder on the bonus show and a little harder on the main show, just because the quality dipped so drastically. And then we're like, oh shit. Okay, 6 more weeks. So that's not necessarily true because I love talking to you and I love talking about these comics, but yeah, it's been a bit of a slog quality wise, not in actually recording and talking about these things. But yeah, this is different for us. We have yet to experience this before. We've been lucky. We've been very blessed.
Yeah. So we did the man thing because we had to reschedule this. We're supposed to have Michael on, but he was sick, so he's going to join us next season for something. Um, so yeah, seeing what a Curtis magazine story could and should be, with that Man Thing story, which you wondered, was that supposed to be? Was that an inventory story? We don't know. I don't think so. I think it might have been an inventory script, but the nipples and the ass led me to, and the gore in the first page led me to believe it was probably drawn at least for a Curtis magazine. This, if this story had been treated with that same sophistication, and I'm doing air quotes if you're listening, with again that kind of, I hate to say sleaze because that seems like a strong word, but a little bit of titillation, a little bit of cheesecake, a little bit of gore, and a little bit of sophistication of storytelling and focus. My main problem was the focus.
Yeah.
We started wondering about second or third chapter of the saga, like, wow, so like these faceless guys in briefcases and bowler hats who just are everywhere doing things. They seem to be the default. I don't know what to do right here, so I'm going to throw some faceless conspiracy actors in while I figure my shit out in the background. And that felt to me like a betrayal of the letter he wrote in Marvel Presents #2, where he said, I had a whole thing planned. We felt that didn't really happen. There wasn't.
No, because well, that was the thing that we mentioned multiple times in talking about this Bloodstone saga, is that neither of us had ever seen a story in a Curtis magazine that could be in a Marvel 2-in-1.
Yeah.
Like that was shocking.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, what is happening? Like, why are we here? This is in black and white. Like, why? What are we adhering to? Who's the audience? You and I kept saying at multiple issues, who's the audience?
Yeah.
Who's he writing this for?
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about editorial, like maybe editorial stuff, edicts or whatever direction. Maybe he's fighting with whoever is editing this. And again, we don't know all the particulars. I lay a lot of blame at Warner's doorstep for this.
I think in the end, we have to lay the bulk of the blame on his doorstep.
I mean,
I have no issues with the art. We have not complained about the art throughout the entire season. There's been
No,
a dodgy panel here or there that we've called out and said, not so and so's best work. Um,
but man, the art's been great this season.
it's been a
So
treat.
yeah, I'm gonna drink to that. I'm gonna
Yeah,
drink to
fucking
our
A, man.
wonderful Filipino artists.
Yep. Great layouts, great finishes. Rudy set us up in the beginning there. Like every time we saw a Luxel, it was a completely different interpretation, and they were all fucking amazing. Even the
Yeah.
Sunny Trinidad, I have 3 days to do this entire 22-page story. One looked amazing. Yeah, I have no regrets about it. I'm happy I have the trade. I will probably revisit it at some point, but we'll definitely be focusing on the art and not the words as much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So, I mean, it was fun. It was fun because, we haven't, well, it's also, we haven't done anything like this. We haven't had source material that started out promising and went seriously awry. So I feel like we figured out a way to talk about it to where it wasn't too much of a bummer or a downer. But, the Filipino artists helped us along for this whole Bloodstone saga. So yeah, much thanks to them. They saved it.
yeah, um, yeah. I mean, I have no regrets about reading the story. I'll
No,
read it
no, not at
again.
all.
Um, but yeah, it was. I was maybe it's me coming in with expectations and just having this character be something I read about since the Ohatmu Book of the Dead, and just being
Hmm.
intrigued by this idea of a monster hunter who died a long time ago, and it was kind of important. Yeah, a lot of promise, and it didn't pay off. I guess. Well,
Yeah.
that's my footnote. But I would still recommend people check out the Bloodstone and the Legion of Monsters trade. You can still get that relatively cheap in print. I think it's
Hmm.
like $20 or something like that. So I mean, if you can find this, this is all of what we've talked about is in here. Um,
Is it
so
just the Bloodstone stuff?
no, there's more. There's modern stuff,
Oh, okay.
Elsa. So but yeah, all of her dad's stuff is in here. So
Cool.
I would check this out. You can get it for like 20, $30 and worth having, you
Hmm.
know. Yeah. So that's the end of us doing a saga on the Shadow Show. We mentioned earlier this season, we kind of talked through in one of the episodes, I think, of what we're going to be covering in season 7, the final season. So we're going to be bouncing around. I'm excited to just, I think we should pull out the die again, Jacob. I think
I think so too.
we're going to talk about iVampire when he watches the movie Woodstock and sees a lover of his interacting with his invisible self that can't be captured on film. Uh, that to me is like slotted in that same like Man Thing Candle type of one and done story that I think is so fascinating. So
Yep.
I think we should do like a you know like a deathlock or whatever. Just roll the die and just have it pick an issue instead of starting off at issue 1, because sometimes these things take a little bit to get their legs right.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
know
who
they
they are.
do.
So we'll roll some die. We'll read some weird stuff. Just kind of jump in and just read something. And you're creating a Alcala or what was a
Hmm.
okay, yeah. So we
Yep.
have some stuff going, and yeah, we mentioned some problematic stories we might do. Some infamous Bronze Age. We love when people like pick up the torch and run and push the boundaries on what comics can do in a time period with the social mores and what's acceptable. So having Speedy shoot up, that was something. But sometimes that goes too far, and we might explore some of those things where people look back and said this was not a good call.
Bad idea.
Yeah. So yeah, looking forward to bouncing around. I think
Yeah.
season seven's. I think if nothing, I don't know. I'm wondering now, like, is season 7 being shaped by season 6 of like us buying, like, going all in on a couple things and like being like, this isn't what I necessarily would have done had I known what it is.
Yeah.
So season 7, we're getting the Atlas Seaboard stuff. We're bouncing around genres, horror, crime, superhero, and I think we're gonna be doing the same thing here. So I'm just excited to do more of the. It's more of a buffet, I guess. I think that was maybe a good fit
Yeah,
for us.
it is. I think we love the buffet season. It's fun. It keeps it exciting. We liked doing the Jack Russell saga because it was fun and it worked out, and the issues were all pretty high quality. Even the goofy ones, we still had a lot of fun with. So the same with Manwolf, same with we've enjoyed our sagas, but yeah, I mean, I think we've been doing this for a number of years now, and I think the Bronze Age buffet was super fun, and I feel like people really liked it too.
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess
Yeah.
we're going more episodic television now.
Yeah, definitely. Which I think is maybe to everyone's advantage. I know a lot of people prefer when we commit to something and explore the hell out of it and do our Matt and Jacob thing. But I think this is better for my what I'm looking for the last season of the show. I think this is a good call.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I'm excited. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I can't wait. So, yeah, so this is the last bonus show of the season. We're going to take a little bit of a break. We paused billing. If you didn't see the notification, folks, we paused billing for December. So we're not charging anybody on Patreon for being members. So please don't cancel. There's no need to. You're not being charged. We'll be back in January with Shadow Show and the regular show. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. This is going to be fun. Yeah, it's nice to just put the end of this chapter into the Creature Commandos and come roaring out of the gate, Atlas Seaboard style.
Vengeance Incorporated.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah, I couldn't have said it any better. So, yeah, here we go. End of the season, into the Shadow Show. Giving thanks to our Dark Lord. Hail Satan.
Hail Satan. Goodbye, Ulysses. Goodbye, Brad.
Yep, I'll drink to that.
That's the Shadow Show, guys. Right there.
That is the Shadow Show.